Hello, I'm Brent Weeks, and I'm here with my monthly, or quite nearly monthly, depending on our deadlines and how badly we violate them, Q&R, question and response. First, I'm going to start with a question that I got quite a few times. I didn't write down the names, so sorry. Several people have wanted to know about the clock and what is going on with the clock over my shoulder there. And the answer is, that's foreshadowing. The next question comes from Johan Tornros. Tornros, sorry, I don't know whether that's Dutch or not, and I apologize. He says, how often does a mirror like Janus Borig appear? And the answer is about every 5 books. Robin Moore says, do you have any ideas for where you're going with your next series after this one? After the Prisms and the short Night Angel story? Well, I mean, it's going to be a novel, so I hope that it's a little shorter than these books. I want to see if I can write something that fits between covers handily. And further, are you playing D&D at the moment? I'll take the very last part first. I'm not playing any D&D at the moment, which makes me somewhat sad, but I've gotten busy with, I don't know, stuff. So maybe someday soon. I have quite enjoyed the D&D 5th edition when I've been able to play it a little bit. Right now I've been playing, still playing Gloomhaven, although only like once or sometimes twice a month if I'm lucky. I'm really enjoying that. Do I have ideas for what I'm going to write next? Yes, absolutely. I have lots of ideas. I generally don't want to comment too much on what those ideas are and what I'm planning to do, because I know that in the next 3 years or however long it takes me to get through the next book, or 4, if I'm not careful, it might turn into 4, I might change my mind, and I don't want people saying, you said you were going to write a book about this character and now you're not writing it, and be mad at me for, for being an artsy person, which I sometimes am, even though I try so hard not to be that person. Catherine Jenkins writes, what is your background besides writing? Do you have any expertise in physics? I just heard my teachers laughing in the background. How long did you consider the concept for the Lightbringer series before beginning to write it? I ask you these questions because I'm a PhD student in systems management in engineering, and we are learning about the Medici effect and finding the intersection of creativity and ideas. I can see that my long books have inspired long questions, so that's only fair. Okay, so one thing at a time. What's my background besides writing? Why am I taking on these physicsy ideas? My background and my skills besides writing, pretty much, although maybe not to the same degree, I can do what Siddhartha in Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha said, I can think and I can write. And that's pretty much all I can do too. So maybe not as well as either that author or that character, but there you have it. I did take a book, I did take a class on the intersection of physics, philosophy, and theology in college, and that blew my mind. It was super awesome. It was pretty formative, even though it was just a one-semester class. Other than that, I'm certainly no physicist. I can understand it when other people make jokes about Schrodinger's cat, but that's about as close as I get. For those of you who don't know, I actually didn't, so I looked it up for all of us. What is the Medici effect? It talks about why breakthroughs are made in unrelated fields by people who bring over ideas from one field. So you have Darwin, coming up with his theory, even though he was trained in a different field, and so forth. So she's wondering if I'm so brilliant that I'm coming out of nowhere and making up these ideas for Luxon. And I mean, I'm sure that's what she was saying. And the answer is no. I just make stuff up. I'm just a liar. That's going to show up on the back of a book cover at some point. Eli Collins says, what was the biggest inspiration behind the drafter's concept and abilities? Basically, I wanted to do cool magic that I thought could have a lot of complexity, but was on the surface really easy to understand, which to me applies to a lot of scientific principles that it seems like, okay, you understand that, but then you layer other principles on top, and things get very complicated very quickly, especially with colors. Colors have, they come from the light spectrum, but then they're filtered through our eyes, and certain people are colorblind. You have this really interesting interplay of subjective reality of how how people experience colors with objective reality of this spectrum of light is at this many nanometers to make this color, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought it would be a really fun thing to do, and it has been. Let's see. My assistant is trying to make me look also at her computer screen, which is just way too many things for me to do all at once. Oh, okay. She pulled up the Color Lab real life fantasy that I guess we did last month. By the time you see this, maybe, or Tuesday, one or the other. And so we have a real life fantasy post on our website that we talk about cool magic-y kind of stuff that actually turns out to be scientific and real, like mantis shrimp. Yes. Also, Catherine, I skipped the part where you asked how long did I consider the concept for Lightbringer before I began to write it. About 3 weeks. so that there you have it. I had to decide. Orbit came to me and they said this was just as the first book had only been out 3 months, and that means the third book of Night Angel had only been out less than a month. And they said, we want your next 3 books. And I said, okay, that sounds good. I guess they must be doing okay. They didn't tell me how they were doing, because of course, why would they? So I had to quickly decide what would be the next 3 books that I would write. And I thought, I could do more Night Angel books, and I have a lot that I want to tell there. I didn't feel ready to tell those stories yet, so I wanted to try something different. So I came up with, I said, okay, I'm going to do something really different, I hope, from Night Angel, and I kind of quickly cobbled together something that would be high magic rather than low magic, something that would be not sort of the stereotypical medieval kind of fantasy setting, and would be very different and have guns and stuff. So I pulled that together pretty quickly, and then it, of course, still took me 2 years to write it. Okay, Kevin Kiss says, I have an interest in the writing craft, and I read fantasy, so I can be a nerd about world building. My question, were the book 4 twists planned from the beginning, or did you decide during the project, this will really mess with them? Thank you again. Thank you, Kevin. So this actually touches on something that drives me crazy. I think that artists, and especially writers of long series, have this temptation to buy into the genius mythos. People want to see us as geniuses. We want to be seen as geniuses. And one of the ways that we do that is we say, I had it all planned from the beginning. Yes. And to me, when somebody says they have had it all planned from the beginning, I think, so wait, you've been writing this series for 20 years or whatever, and you're telling me you had all your good ideas in the first 6 months. That's terrible. You should be having ideas all the time. And as a writer, I have ideas all the time. I certainly lay out a huge number of secrets, of revelations that I want to build as we're going. This person's big thing is going to come out, 250 pages into book 1. This other person's secret isn't going to come out till much later. And I layer some of these things, but then sometimes I'll come up with a twist and I'll be like, well, what if this person has been doing this weird thing because of, this secret that they have, and maybe it's something I haven't thought of, but that describes things that I've already written, or maybe it's something that I hadn't thought of, and I just stop and I look back and I go, well, could this work? Is this a more interesting thing to do than what I was planning to do in the first place? And if it is, then I do it. And that's not to say that you might not make errors as you do that, but I do my best not to go back and check everything when I do make those kind of things. Now certainly, as an author, you have a responsibility if you tell people you know where you're going, and they are trusting you to a greater or lesser extent to know where you're going. I mean, for me, it's like I have these mountaintop experiences that I'm leading readers there. I want to get to the top of from my house here to the top. If we're going to the top of Mount Hood, let's make sure we're driving toward Mount Hood. But if we find a more interesting way to get there, let's take the more interesting way rather than the way that's like, okay, everyone's done this, everyone's seen it before, I'm getting bored writing it. Let's take the detour as long as the detour is actually a scenic route to still get to the top of the mountain. So I try to fit those things in, and I do definitely when I come to a story with the main characters, I have things I want them to learn, to grow through. I have secrets that I want to be revealed, hopefully at the most cataclysmic time for that to happen. I have places I want them to end up, even if that's just like, I think this person's probably going to die at the end of the last book, but I'm okay with that. So there's definitely things I build in, but there's also things where I leave myself creative freedom. And I think that's just fine. All right, we'll have more writing advice kind of questions next time. And maybe I'll even fill you in more about that. Thanks.